Hey, what's up guys, John here. I called Florida home the last 3 years. It's been great for me, it's been great for my family. My place is now listed on the market for sale, and I'm not alone. A lot of other people are listing their properties in Florida, all along the Gulf Coast, all in Miami, all throughout Florida. People are looking for a way out. And why? Well, there's a variety of changes happening right now in the world and in the economy we all need to look at. And I think it's going to impact everyone from Florida to Texas to California. And if you position yourself for this change, you're going to make an absolute fortune. If you follow the trends and you connect the dots, you'll see exactly where this is going. And so I'm relocating my family, I've already done this, to Ohio. Now many people say, look, why would you go to Ohio? Pay attention to what's happening with the government right now. Pay attention to where this is all going to be headed. What's going to happen the next year is insurance premiums throughout Florida, California, Texas are going to go parabolic.
More and more homeowners are abandoning home insurance because of skyrocketing costs.
Texas is on pace to become the nation's leader. We're talking about the price for home insurance.
California is facing an insurance crisis for homeowners.
In California, you got the fires. In Florida, you got Milton, you have Helene, you have all these problems. In Texas, Texas has their own problems. This situation is just getting worse and worse and worse. And so as we walk into this inflationary crisis and insurance and taxes, everything's going up, the cost of service and heat these homes, energy bills continuing to going up, and then you have the job market softening, the government's going to step forward and say, look, we can solve your problems. We can help you. That's what we're here to do. We're going to protect you. We're going to, give you stimulus. We're going to give you subsidies. And this is what I think is going to happen next. They're going to come forward the next year, the next 2 years. They're going to expand Section 8. They're going to expand all these subsidy programs to come in and act like they're really here to help the people. But meanwhile, the rich are going to get a hell of a lot richer because they're going to be looking at this inflationary problem and saying, look, do I want to sit on dollars or do I want to park this money into something valuable, a store of value? Some might say that's precious metals, others might say it's discounted apartment buildings and land. People have their own way of looking at things. I think the big opportunity is going to be capitalizing on where the world's going. All great investors do this. They see what's happening next, they place their bet, and then they capitalize on it when that actually happens. So let me show you what I mean. Now I came to Ohio, I've been here 5 days. We have one deal that's set to close in the next 9 days. Another deal we just got accepted as of this morning. They have inspections on Friday. I might even do a tour of the property on Friday and show you guys this deal. But there's so much money to be made if you are, seeing these trends and you're kind of understanding what they're doing. And 4 years ago, the stimulus programs, people saw that and thought, oh wow, this is going to be a temporary, cash grab. But in reality, I looked at that and I saw, this is a great pilot program for UBI. And that's what is happening right now. As we start to see everything kind of erode, this is where it's all going. Everything is going to be based around these subsidies. And so when you have real estate investors that are building, like for example, down the street here, I'm going to show you, they're building brand new properties, most likely to rent out, right? When you have investors that are buying this Class A, this isn't Class A, but when you're buying Class A properties in Miami and all these, key markets, and then the economy sinks and these tenants move out and they're really chasing a discount or they're closing down their businesses, these people that are building these Class A properties in these key markets get stuck holding the bag. The real winners are going to be the ones owning the C and B class inventory with very, very, very low holding cost, low insurance, low taxes, and low debt that can absorb, a large market share of tenants and can put themselves in a position to capitalize on where this is all going. So what I think is going to happen, look at this property here. Right, this property is a fixer, no doubt, a major fixer. But this is a duplex. Look at that. It needs paint, it might need a new roof, but it's 80 grand. It's 80 grand, and this area where I am is, I would say B plus, maybe A minus. Really, really, really great area. The park right up the street. But yeah, it probably needs about $50,000. But if you're all in for 120 grand, each unit would probably rent for $1,000 to $1,100 each. So maybe you pull in $2,200 a month on a $120,000, $130,000 investment. Where else are you doing that? In California, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to drop 400, 500 grand, right? So you see the trends of where this is all going to be going in the next couple of years. Now, why I'm relocating now from Florida, from California. So in 2020, I finished a project. It was a little value add deal that we basically added a duplex next to USC and made a good chunk of money on this deal, and timed it almost at the height of the market. Like, I sold it in late 2021. We missed the height of the market by about 70 days, like the actual peak, but we're spot on. Sold it right when everyone thought the eviction moratoriums are over, everything was going to go back to 2018, 2019. I had a prediction back then that the eviction moratoriums were going to get extended again, which they did, and that landlord-tenant law would change in California, which it's going to right now. If you look at Prop 33 and some of these changes they're pushing, not sure if it's going to pass, but they're talking about vacancy control. Like, if a tenant moves out of the property, the new tenant cannot be charged market rate. They have to get charged essentially what the former tenant was paying. Meanwhile, insurance and taxes are going to grow and grow and grow on that property. And they're going to have these climate upgrades and all these different things in California. It's going to be a disaster over there. But my strategy is going to be to scale up portfolio out here in Ohio, build out a lot of cash flow as the pain starts to really hit markets in Florida, in California, and we understand where this is all going to be going. Then you can pick up discounted deals, substantial discounted deals. The last thing you want to do is be this guy right here. This guy, I'm going to walk and show it to you. This guy's building brand new construction. So you think about this, building brand new construction in this neighborhood. So let's say, for example, he's building at $250 a foot. It's 1,000 square feet hypothetically, right? A little 1,000 square foot house, 3-bed, 1-bath. It would cost him 250 grand plus the cost of the land. He'd probably be in for 300 grand, minimum, right? If he's getting the land for 50, right? Minimum $300,000. He would probably have to rent that property out for $2,500 to be able to break even on that single house. Who's gonna win? The person that has that duplex with almost no debt, no expenses, or this guy over here with a construction loan that at $2,500 he's probably breaking even. He probably needs to rent for $3 grand. Right? Who's gonna win that game? It's gonna be the low cost provider every single time. In an inflationary affordability type of crisis environment which we're moving into, it's gonna be the low cost providers that's gonna win. And so scaling up a lot of these mom and pop properties, putting Section 8 tenants in there. Now I see a lot of people saying, look, John, Section 8 tenants, they're gonna destroy your property. You don't know what you're doing with Section 8 tenants and blah, 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 blah. Look, you have to look at things from how things actually are. In the world in which we're going to, it doesn't matter if the tenant's Section 8, if it's market rate tenant. A market rate tenant losing their job, losing their business, they're gonna take it out on the landlord that's absorbing a large chunk of their check. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna blame the landlord for their problems. You know, hey, this landlord's charging me 30% more than what I was paying 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Meanwhile, insurance and taxes skyrocketed, and cost to maintain and operate that building has skyrocketed, and they're just simply pushing the cost onto the tenant. You're gonna start seeing more defaults and delinquencies. The Section 8 tenant, if you price it right and you're in a great market, a great area, and when I say price it right, I mean below market, and you select that right tenant because you have multiple applications, you're going to get a tenant that can actually afford to be there because they're only spending 10 or 20% or 30% of that monthly rent out of their own pocket. So it's more affordable for some of these people moving into these units.
Imagine being seriously injured and missing out on millions in compensation just because you didn't know where to turn. Many law firms settle for lowball offers, leaving victims with far less than they deserve. It's frustrating, unfair, and sometimes they charge you before they even win. That's where Morgan & Morgan comes in.
America's largest injury law firm fights to get the clients the compensation they deserve.
And the best part, you pay nothing unless they win. They've won $12 million in Florida, 34 times more than the insurance offer, and $26 million in Philadelphia, 40 times more than the insurance offer. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Features: no upfront fees unless you win. Over 1,000 attorneys and a dedicated legal team to fight for you. They handle everything for you, and it's incredibly easy to start your claim. Your injury could be worth millions.
You can visit the link in the description box below this video to start your claim today. So I think what we're going to start seeing here is that there's going to be more financial support heading to Section 8 tenants. There's going to be a lot more government assistance that's going to be coming. And a lot of these leveraged landlords are going to get completely wiped out, especially in places like California, Texas, and Florida. And I think that the investors right now that are pivoting, seeing the writing on the wall, that government subsidies are going to skyrocket in Section 8 program. This program is going to explode in popularity in the next couple of years. A lot of people say, look, it's already big, John. You got millions and millions and millions of people coming here right now with no shelter, no job. They need help, right? They need financial assistance. They're going to be on Section 8. Look at these properties. Oh. Right? Building after building here. Look at this. They got the whole crew out here building this. And then directly across the street, you got another one over there building that. It's going to be these investors the next couple of years that are value investors that are buying, for example, you're buying that deal for hypothetically the 80 grand. You buy that deal for 80 grand, the land's worth 50-ish, somewhere in that 50 range. Paying $30,000 for the structure. You fix it up, you got the right team, you make it work, right? At a great return. My strategy though, for probably the first 10 houses, single family and duplexes, the first 10 deals, I'm not gonna buy anything that needs more than like 10, 15 grand. You know, paint, flooring, very, very, very light, renovations. And then once we have a stable crew and I feel competent with that crew to take on a more intensive project, then I'll start to do that. I'm doing all this, by the way, with my own money. I'm not bringing in investors or anything like that. Doing everything right now, deal by deal. And I think that's gonna be the smart play going forward. Section 8 and playing things for how things are gonna really be. Government's gonna grow dramatically. A lot of people are gonna be losing their jobs in the next couple of years. And a lot of investors are gonna be looking for places in which they can allocate capital. And look at these homes. Like, look at these streets. This is an amazing neighborhood, and it's affordable. Like these homes, you could buy some of these in this specific neighborhood. This is more expensive than like the other neighborhoods, which I showed you guys before. But these homes are probably like maybe 140, 130 grand, right? You go to LA and you look to buy a condo, you're buying something. A home in Compton is 700, 650. A home in Downey is $1 million, right? You go to Riverside, you go to any of these areas, you're spending 4, 5, 6 times this property value, right? And now a lot of people say, look, it's Ohio. Nobody wants to be in Ohio. It's so hot, or so cold in Ohio in the winter. I'm literally wearing shorts. Right now. Short sleeve shirt. It's 75 degrees in Ohio right now. So I think that Ohio is definitely going to get a lot more attention, and I think we're going to see so many people. Look at this house. So many people looking for affordable combinations, and investors are going to be stepping in here, and the government's going to subsidize it all because the government doesn't have a choice. You think they're going to let everything collapse and all the people just basically lose everything? Maybe in the short term. But after that, I think they're going to say, look, we're going to be able to help you guys. We're going to do a UBI. We're going to be able to give you a check. And we don't want to take care of and manage all these properties. We'd rather give a check to a landlord. The landlord can manage service, deal with all the tenants, deal with all the issues, and we just keep cutting checks. And so those investors that are acquiring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these houses in great areas and managing these properties, I think are going to be the ones that are going to capitalize on it, you know, because at the end of the day, what options do we all really have, right? What options? We just sit there and we all know that what's happening in the world. Do we just sit there and say, okay, you know, the world's basically burning, things are, you know, going to hell. Do we just kind of sit there and watch it, or do we actually make a big move? Do we make a big move, make a lot of money, and isolate ourselves from the crisis, right? That's the only alternative we really have, right? If you're a winner, you win, right? If you're a loser, then, you know, you just sit there. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think there's going to be a lot of places people can make a lot of money the next couple of years if they're planning for it, right? If they're really looking at the writing on the wall. We're not going back to the old days. It's just not going to happen. the labor market, the economy, banks, all these different aspects of the economy are going to go through a major wave of consolidation. We're going to see so many banks fail over the next year or so. We're going to see so many companies go out of business over the next year or so. We're going to be seeing so much financial strain hitting the pockets of millions of Americans, hundreds of millions of Americans, probably 150, 200 million Americans are going to walk into significant financial difficulty over the next couple of years, right? That top 50 million Americans, top 100 million Americans, they'll be able to weather the storm. But I'm telling you guys, like, you don't need to be a millionaire to be able to play this game in Ohio. Like, if you're renting in any of these big cities and you're spending $2-3 grand a month, and your goal is like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house where I'm at, it might not even make sense to do that. Like, it really might not make sense to do that if you're talking about an $800,000-$900,000 house, because you could come to here. You can come here where I'm at and buy a house. Put $5 grand, $7 grand down. FHA. Maybe you want to put 10% down, do a 10% conventional loan. Put, 15, 20 grand down, have the house. Your monthly costs are less than $1,000. You're working from home, you're stacking cash, you're buying other rentals, you're building out stability. And then once you have the income from all these deals at 5, 8, 10 grand a month, and you're going to go back to California and you want to go buy that $1 million house or that $600,000, $700,000 house, you could do it and live for free, right? It might just be a year or two of sacrifice. Like, I got here 5 days ago. The first deal will probably pull in about $1,300, $1,400 a month. Taxes and insurance about $350, right? So we'll just go low end, $1,000 a month in profit. The deal that I just got accepted on as of this morning is a duplex, $159,000. I'm gonna give you guys a tour of it on Friday. This property, the first house will rent for about $1,300 to $1,400, and the other house about $1,100, maybe $1,000 low end, right? $159,000. I'll pull in $2,300, $2,400 a month. I'm putting 20% down. At the end, I'll probably make about $1,000, maybe $1,100 a month, maybe a little bit more, just after all expenses paid. Where are you going to do that? Where are you going to put down 35, 40 grand, and you're pulling in $1,100 a month, not including the tax benefits, not including mortgage paid down, not including any of that, right? Like, just those two deals are going to bring in $4,000, give or take $4 grand a month in gross monthly income. And my overall expenses, the first deal I have no mortgage on, but my overall expenses, I was doing the numbers yesterday, is about $1,300 for all 3 of those doors per month. So, I mean, by the end of this year, I think I'll be able to get, and this is all, again, with my own money, by the end of this year, I think I'll be able to get the cash flow somewhere between $8,000, maybe $10,000 a month in profit. Inside of like a 75-day, 90-day window. And I think by mid next year, the number is going to be many, many, many multiples of that. And it's all self-funded, right? You can self-fund these deals. You could do one deal at a time, and you could buy these very, very inexpensive properties and just, take your time and do it one deal at a time, and be able to scale it up. But that's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see Section 8 as a whole expand probably by 3, 4, 5x the amount of applicants and the amount of tenants, the amount of subsidies going out for financial assistance for shelter over the next couple of years. There's just no way that it doesn't go that way, in my opinion. And I think we're going to see a lot of investors losing everything in Florida, California, and Texas. And if you can build out a fat moat of cash that comes in every single month on the first, you can step in and you can buy one of these harder to insure properties, and maybe even end up buying it cash. Because at the end of the day, what is something worth? What is something worth? Something is worth what the highest ready, willing, and able buyer is ready to pay for it. That's what it's worth. And I don't think there's going to be as many buyers chasing Florida and California property if this insurance crisis grows in the direction in which it looks like it's going to. Glenn Kelman, the CEO of Redfin, made a statement years ago saying that the only people that are paying attention to the insurance problems in Florida and these high-risk markets are the actuaries, the insurance companies, and the banks. And soon it'll be very hard to get funding to buy these properties, and it'll be very, very hard to get insurance policies to insure these properties. You can't get a house in one of these markets with a mortgage. You can't get insurance. That's why I think we're going to see more and more investors looking for safe haven places and looking for stable cash flow, looking to protect their money. And I think Section 8 is going to be it. What do you think about this entire situation? Where do you see it all going? Are you moving out of Florida? Are you thinking about it? Let's have a conversation below. And for more information on today's video sponsor, you can click the link in the description just below this video. Catch you next video.